Hey, it's me, MLB. Here is chapter 81 of Heard You Like Me, and this one is titled Holding Hands. Dinner was extravagant, as you expected it was going to be, and you ate to your heart's content and chatted happily with your girls, just happy to be away from the dorm rooms and being a little more free. You want to go for a walk after this? You asked the girls as dessert was placed before you. Oh, that sounds lovely, Momo said. There's a beautiful lookout at the top of the hill near here. It'll be dark already, but the stars are just stunning. Okay, let's do that then, you said with a smile as you picked up your fork and dug into the decadent dessert that was placed in front of you. What a perfect day, you said through a mouthful. I get 2 sweets either side of me and a sweet in my mouth, you added. Momo smiled at you from across the table and then looked to her left to Jirou, who also smiled, and then you all ate silently for a little bit, but Momo had a lot on her mind, which you were listening into. Maybe I should try and hold Kyoka's hand when we go for the walk. I'll say there might be parts that are slippery and hold her hand so that she feels safe, and then we can also bond. Momo thought as she delicately placed more food into her mouth and chewed it down slowly. Sounds like a plan, Momo, you thought, knowing she couldn't hear you, but you knowing what she was planning was very helpful. At least now you could give some assistance if needed. And so, after dinner, you went back to your sleeping quarters and grabbed a jumper, just in case it got colder, then grabbed a torch or phone for light, and off you all headed, walking down the long back stairs and heading towards the beach, and then to the right and up into the woods. There was a fairly well-worn track there, and it was easy to follow, and you almost laughed at how perfect the track was. There was no way it was going to be slippery or dangerous, and so you checked into Momo's mind to see if she was going to switch up her excuse for holding Jirou's hand, but she was more worried about when to say it. I'll help, you thought, as you dropped back from walking between the two girls and stepped to the outside of Jirou. Okay, everyone, hold hands, you said, as you shone the light from your phone up ahead. It could get steep and rocky and slippery, so I don't want anyone to fall. Momo immediately grabbed for Jirou's hand, and you grabbed for her other one, and then you all kept walking in silence, but you were having a hard time stopping yourself from laughing, since what you had described up ahead as a dangerous section was in fact the most level, wide and flat part of the walk, and you could hear the confusion in Jirou's mind. Where is it supposed to be rocky and dangerous? She finally asked. This is the flattest it's been. You burst out laughing. I was kidding, you joked. But I like that we're all holding hands, so you're not allowed to let go, you added to her, looking at her in the dim light of your phone light. I'm not complaining, she replied, and you grinned. Okay, good, you said. On the other side of Jirou, Momo was ecstatic that she was finally holding Jirou's hand, and Jirou too was a little happy that it was happening too, so you smiled quietly to yourself and then kept an eye up ahead for the lookout. It wasn't long before you got there, and you turned your light off as you got closer, and so did Momo, so that all was dark and only the stars were illuminating the sky above. The more your eyes adjusted in the dark, the more stars you saw, until it seemed like the whole sky was filled with these glowing, twinkling orbs. Magical, Momo whispered, and you squeezed Jirou's hand beside you. It is gorgeous, you commented, but you were looking directly at Jirou as you said it, and she looked up at you and gave you a bashful smile before looking back up to the sky overhead. Yeah, she said in her mind. I've always liked you. You're everything to me. You squeezed her hand again, and then bent your face down to hers and locked lips with her, while Momo was still holding her hand on the other side. Momo did look initially when you kissed her, but then looked away, not wanting to stare, but also curious and wanting to watch, and her thoughts reflected that. Momo, you said once you'd finished kissing Jirou. Come here. She looked at you and you stepped towards her, both of you still holding onto Jirou's hands as you completed the circle, and you took her hand and then kissed her on the lips in front of Jirou, who blushed deeply but kept watching. Beauty all around, you commented, smiling at each of you girls in turn. Momo and Jirou looked at each other, and then Jirou looked away bashfully and then back up to the sky. I wish I knew the names of the stars, she said, but while Momo was replying to her comment, she was thinking other things. I wonder if Momo and I will get to kiss on this getaway, she wondered, and you did your best to refrain from squeezing her hand. Yeah, I hope so too, you thought, but then tuned into what Momo was talking about so that she wasn't just talking to thin air. After sitting down for a bit and chatting while still looking at the stars, you all decided to head back. You didn't realise just how long you had spent out there talking, so by the time you got back to the holiday house, it was already close to 9:30 p.m. I'm actually really beat, he said with a yawn. If I get good sleep, my quirk is going to be absolute crapola, but I don't need it to be good because we're on holidays. Even quirks need a break, right? True, Momo said, and you chuckled. Yeah, yours would, you replied to her. Once back, you all changed into your pyjamas and then crawled into the big spacious bed and lay down with you in the middle, Momo on your right and Jirou on your left. Ah, this is what I'm talking about, you said as you reached out and touched each of your girls. We've been sleeping separately for so long, time to bring it all in, you said with a grin. Jirou rolled towards you and kissed you on the cheek, so you turned your head to her and engaged her in a kiss, but then you could tell Momo was feeling left out, so then you turned your head the other way and gave her the same treatment, which she was quietly happy about. And then you sighed contentedly and turned your head to look up at the ceiling and closed your eyes. Can I give you a goodnight kiss on the cheek, Kyoka? Momo suddenly asked over the top of you, and Jirou twitched and then slowly sat up. Yeah, okay, she said as she placed a hand on your chest and leaned over you a little. You watched as Momo leaned over you too, and then gave Jirou a cute little kiss on the cheek, and then sat back and the girls both lay back down again. Night, Momo, Jirou said. Oh, good night, Kyoka. Good night, Yin, Momo replied. Ooh, night, y'all, you said through another yawn, and then before you knew it, you were out to it, sleeping deeply, well and truly worn out from the afternoon's frivolities. Momo drifted off to sleep with a smile on her face, and Jirou was just as happy, falling asleep with the resolution that she was going to put in more effort to get closer with Momo the next day, since the taller girlfriend was already showing signs of wanting to be closer, which was lovely. Maybe we might all be together as one, Jirou thought hopefully, but I won't get my hopes up just yet. The next morning, the sun woke you all up at 8 a.m. as it came streaming in through the sheer curtains, and you stirred and then looked over to your left and then right and spotted both your girls beside you again. Oh, what a beautiful way to wake up, you thought as you rolled to the right and snuggled into Momo, rousing her gently. Morning, she whispered to you, and you kissed her lightly a few times down her neck. Hey, baby, you whispered back. Sleep well. Yes, and you? She whispered back. I completely died, he replied, letting her go to roll over the other way and snuggle into a still sleeping Jirou. Hey, cutie, you whispered as you kissed her cheek and then bare shoulder. Time to wake up. She stirred and then rolled away, so you scooped around her middle and dragged her into you, continuing to kiss across her neck and shoulder. Very cute, and that is a lovely way to end this week for Heard You Like Me. Stay tuned for tomorrow, more Sarah coming. I'll see you then.